A slightly cool, slightly overcast day in Central Florida. You don't hear that very often, but that is the setting for race number 29 of 30 in the 1UP Superstar Series for 2024. And we find ourselves at the beautiful Walt Disney World Speedway, right in the shadow of the famous theme park, where 42 of 1UP's best will take to the track for 70 laps, and who knows, maybe at the end of the day, a champion will be crowned as well. We'll find all that out and then some over the course of 70 miles around this beautiful mile-long racetrack that's played host to some great races over the years, and this, I'm sure, will be no exception as 1UP makes its debut here. And alongside me to bring you all the action once again is James Ellison in the booth. And, well, like I said, we've never been to Walt Disney World Speedway before. This is a bit of an unknown for the drivers, but they found their way around new tracks before with relative success. The problem is, most of those times, it wasn't in the middle of a big championship fight.
Oh yeah, that's the big factor here. That's really going to set this apart from other new tracks we've been to this year. Those tracks, you were just looking to see who could get to be the first one to take the checkered flag at the new track. Here, it's that plus you got trying to figure out whether or not it's going to be somebody who could either secure a championship or force this battle to go to Homestead.
Absolutely, and with this being a very momentum-focused racetrack, especially through the flick left of turn 3, heading onto the main straightaway, this is going to be, like I said, a very momentum-focused race between now and the checkered flag, which will come in 70 laps' time. As we can now bring you the full starting lineup for today's 70 laps of action, Christian Vargas gets his third pole of the season, looking for his second win of 2024. He only has one so far in all of the seasons. A bit low for his liking. I'm sure this pole position will do him well in this race. Nick Ortiz, fresh off elimination from the championship hunt, he lines up second. Lane Sanders, Miles Mashburn, they're still in with a shout at the championship, albeit a distant one. They line up third and fourth, and then the big two in the championship. Fourth place in the fight, Devon and the championship leader, Jeffery Finguy. They line up on row 3 together. Dylan Young in third place in the standings. He starts 9th. Patrick Smith in third place, second in the championship. He lines up 13th. So, they're all towards the sharp end of the field, but for Jeffery Finguy, the goal is simple. Get a finish on the podium, and you'll be walking away from here with a championship.
Yeah, that's going to be easier said than done, though, because when you think about it, you got Devon Fair, who he's been fighting the last 2 races for the points lead. And we got one of Fair's teammates, actually his team owner, Christian Vargas, on pole position. You got to guarantee that if Finguy gets up there, Vargas is going to make it real tough on him.
Well, we'll see what happens over the course of these 70 laps here today. But with that being said, this could be the day we crown a new champion, and we're going to find out in 70 laps time whether that happens here or whether it goes all the way to Homestead next week. But with that being said, we've got 42 of them on the grid. We're ready to bring you the action. This is the 1UP Superstar Series playoffs from the Walt Disney World Speedway. Will this be today we crown a champion? It is Vargas and Ortiz on the front row, ready to give us that answer. Green flag is out. We're underway at Walt Disney World Speedway, and Christian Vargas already gets a big jump on the field. He leads them in the turn 1. Ortiz second. Sanders sticking his nose in on the inside, looking for third. Jeffery Finguy's already fighting his way past Mashburn for the 4th spot. That could be a very important pass, especially early on.
Most definitely, and the fact that he's following Lane here, that could be big. I mean, follow him up there, maybe see if Lane can do something with Vargas, or maybe not. Maybe he'll try going to the outside because Lane's not getting there very fast. But whatever way he's got to get up there, he needs to do it fast.
Yeah, we've seen throughout the weekend, throughout practice, and the other races, this is a multi-groove racetrack, but it starts out on the bottom. You want to get down there to make moves, but especially through turn 3, you want to be a lane up from the bottom to get that momentum, keep it rolling. Like you see Mashburn, he loses the position to Devon Fair from the outside. Now Fair all over his main rival, as it looks like Chris Lattimore had a small spin going into turn 1. He is well off the lead pack now, but we do not have a caution for this.
That is unfortunate for Lattimore. He's been having one of those seasons that, at least for the most part, he'd like to forget. But it's definitely not starting off too well for him here.
Meanwhile, the battle between the orange, white, and brown cars is heating up here. Vargas, his lead has been completely negated by Nick Ortiz, who had a strong second lap of this race and is closed right back to the tail of Christian Vargas. They have driven away from everyone else. Vargas and Ortiz ahead of Sanders and Finguy. Those are your top four, with Devon Fair bringing up the rear in the top five. Dylan Young, though, he's fought his way up from his ninth starting spot up to P7. That's going to be good for his hopes.
Now, not just his hopes, but also ensuring that Fair stays behind the rest of them, because the Finguy Saitomi crew, they won a 1-2-3 in the points at the end of the season, which right now, the way they've been running, that could very well happen. Although Fair has definitely got something to say about it.
Yeah, and he's now all over the back of the 92, trying to fight his way through turn 3. They make it through pretty cleanly. Sanders, though, kind of blocking them in a little bit, because look at the gap Christian Vargas and Nick Ortiz have put on them. They've already got 3.5 seconds between Vargas and Sanders. This is a little unexpected. Maybe. We don't know what to expect. We've never been to Walt Disney World for a race before. But so far, it's been the Christian Vargas show. He has led the opening 6 laps of this race, entering lap 7, and the gap between himself and Nick Ortiz is already a commanding 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, that 54 is strong, and there's one thing that Vargas is wanting to do with this, is ensure that Finguy doesn't get that bonus point for lead lap. And even if Finguy does get a bonus point, the longer Vargas leads, the less and less likely it gets to be that Finguy will, if he can get there, could have a chance at getting the point for most laps led.
And you have to keep in mind as well, we do have a pit stop to make in this race around the halfway point, so around lap 35 to 40. We should expect everybody on pit road for their service. So that could very well turn the tides of this race. We don't see a super ton of tire fall off here, but it's a new track. We've never been here before, so you never know what the variables will be. We expect this to be fairly easy on tires, but you just never know at a new place like this, as Vargas has just opened up the lead even more. It's now 4 seconds.
Like I said, that 54 is strong. Like I said, 91, Ortiz, he's doing a really good job. We talk about it being the second to last race of the season. It's the second to last race for some drivers with current rides, and it's really, the changes on the horizon for the Superstar Series, guaranteed.
And one guy who is keeping in place for 2025 is Patrick Smith. He will stay with Finguy Saitomi Motorsports for another year at least, and he is trying to make his way through the field. He started 13th. I think he's still there, or actually he's fallen a little ways back. He's now running in just outside the top 10, top 15 round there. But look at the lead Christian Vargas has pulled between himself and Nick Ortiz. It's 3.5 seconds last time they crossed the line, and now, yeah, it's back up to 4 seconds. I think Vargas, it all depends on how you get through turn 3, because if you can get through there cleanly, you'll have a really good lap. If not, you're going to be mired deep in traffic.
And I'll tell you, one person who doesn't like being mired back in traffic, even though it's not much, is Devon Fair, because the guy he's been trying to get by all these last several races, but has had a little bit of rotten luck here and throughout some of that, is right in front of him. He wants to get by him. He wants to get by Sanders and Ortiz, and he wants to take off and try to get up to his teammate and see if he can't do something about keeping this championship battle from being settled here.
But even if Jeffery Finguy finishes right here in 4th, I don't know if that's going to be enough to secure the championship here. What will secure it for certain is a second or better in this race, I feel, unless one of his main challengers wins the race. Vargas is not one of those, neither is Ortiz, so I don't think he has to worry about them. But if he can finish second or better with one of them winning, I think that would do it to secure the championship for him.
Yeah, that's the key here. And you see he's starting to drive away from Fair. He's still got Sanders ahead of him, but I don't think the 87 is too much of a hindrance for the 92 at the moment.
No, because he's 1.6 seconds ahead of the 92 as they run right now. Field's starting to spread out quite a bit, and I say this because we're only just starting lap 14 of this race, and the top 10 is already separated by about 10.5 seconds. That's quite a lot, all things considered. So, it might be a bit of a procession now, but once those pit stops happen, I would expect this race to be brought back to life very quickly. And of course, once Vargas catches the back end of the field, I would also expect that lead to be eaten away at very quickly.
Oh yes, definitely. That's the key part there. Once you get into lap traffic, we've seen it before. Drivers get a big lead, and then all of a sudden you get lap traffic. Next thing you know, second, third, however many others behind them are starting to catch up, and then lap traffic can decide a race. We've seen it for sure.
Meanwhile, further back here, Dylan Young has gotten past Miles Mashburn and up into 7th place. Pretty good run for the 29, and boy does he need it to stay in the championship fight, considering his main challenger and his teammate currently running in 4th. So Dylan Young has got to make something happen in this race to keep his hopes alive, even by the slimmest of margins, heading to Homestead, a place we know he can run well.
And we talked about it. So looking right here, you see these cars right back here. Cale Teskar Jr. It's definitely been a season to forget for him. And that 99 there, I believe that's Vasquez this weekend.
Yep.
He's having an up and down run in some of the races he's been in. But
one thing I did notice, Chris Lattimore, after having that little spin early, he's actually caught the tail end of the field again. So good for him to gain all that ground back up and start challenging for positions again. But we're now focused on Dylan Young in 7th place. He's 10.5 seconds off the lead. We'll see what he can do now, sizing up Mark Davey and maybe even Devon Fair. But meanwhile, up ahead, Jeffery Finguy starting to close in on Lane Sanders. We'll see if this is going to be a battle worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah, and talk about Mark Davey. He's another guy that changes on the horizon, and he wants to go out on a decent note. He's not in the championship fight anymore, but he's had a pretty good season. Though, like anybody, there's been some highs and lows and in-betweens.
Yeah, and he has not been the victory lane this season. Neither has Nick Ortiz, his teammates, for just 2 more races. So hopefully one of them gets the job done either here or at Homestead, just so that team has something to brag about before they close up at the end of Homestead. But right now the best they can do is 2nd place. Meanwhile, Jeffery Finguy's closed in bit by bit on Lane Sanders for the final spot on the podium. We'll see if he's able to make the move relatively soon, because he's getting closer.
Yeah, that's the tough thing. And speaking of closer, well, Lattimore is right on the bumper of Teskar Jr. there. And and as they do this, Vargas is inching closer to them, which who knows how long that'll take for them to be lapped.
Yeah, they're only about half a straightaway ahead of the 54 now, so Vargas is gaining time on them, and quite quickly, it has to be said. Meanwhile, Nick Ortiz, 6.5 seconds off the lead, and we're only on lap 21. This is a thoroughly dominating performance by Christian Vargas. His fastest lap, 0.2 faster than anyone else's. This is a race Christian Vargas really needed to let everyone know that he's still got something left.
Yeah, and it's all about wins for him right now, as the only one at his team that is currently in a position to maybe get a championship, although it seems to be dwindling by the lap, is Devon Fair, and that's definitely something he wants to focus on. But he's also got to focus on getting himself in victory lane at least once more this season.
Yeah, he only has 1 win this season. That's a bit surprising when I checked the stat books before this race, so hopefully Vargas is able to close this one out. He's had some really good runs this season, but surprisingly, he's only led, has it only been like about 30 laps this season? That is surprisingly low for a 2-time champion like himself. So he's led the first 22 laps here. That's easily going to boost him up the order in that department, but still not over yet. We're not quite at half race distance, so there's still plenty of time to make things happen for Nick Ortiz, for Lane Sanders, and for everyone else.
And you talk about 6.5 seconds. It officially is 6.5 seconds now between the 91 and the 54 ahead. But the gap between the 51 and the 92 has shrunk once again. Let's see.
Yeah, they're almost 10 seconds off the lead now, and this has the look of a long green run to it. So with with Fair and Finguy, I think their focus is on each other. Fair needs to get past the 92 to try and prevent him from getting up there into a championship clinching position. Finguy's just got to keep the 51 behind, chase after Lane and Ortiz to try and get those places, because he's only 2 seconds off of second place at the moment.
2 seconds has got to feel like 2.5, 3 miles right now, though, because he's not really gaining anything on Ortiz, but one person who is gaining, and you see it here, is a Vargas on the laps on the back of the field.
And boy, has he caught them now. We're on lap 26 of 70. Christian Vargas has gotten to Cale Teskar Jr. here to put the Zero driver a lap down. I'm of course referring just to his car number. He has got loads of talent behind the wheel of that car. The car has just not been with him this year. But once he becomes teammates with Christian Vargas, with Devon Fair, and with Zayden Davidson at Revolution Racing, oh boy, Cale Teskar Jr. is going to be scary next year.
Yeah, Revolution Racing's already a scary trio. It's going to be a scary quartet next year. He could very well get back to his winning ways, which, I think he'd be very happy with, especially considering how this season's gone.
Yeah, hopefully that does happen for him, because we like seeing him up at the front of the field contending for wins like he used to. But meanwhile, Nick Ortiz's lead Nick Ortiz's gap to Christian Vargas. It was 7 seconds last time they crossed the line. We'll see what it is here. Oh, he lost time, even with Vargas being in the back. So that's a bit of a surprise, actually, to have Nick Ortiz lose a bit of time to the 54. Maybe he just had a good turn 3 compared to the 91. I guess that's also the reason why Sanders is now all over him for second place.
That could very well be, as Finguy has once again separated himself from Fair, but it seems like he's bouncing back and forth between being close to Lane and being close to Devon, which, I don't think he likes doing that, but actually I know he doesn't like doing that, so he's got to figure out a way to get out of this cycle of closing on the 87 and then falling back to the 51.
Yeah, but I think for Finguy, he knows he's got a firm grasp on this points lead. He just doesn't want to do anything to jeopardize that. But at the same time, he does want to lock up the title a race early. And now he's going to try diving one up the outside of Lane Sanders. But this is one of those corners where you want to be on the bottom. And Lane Sanders just demonstrated why, because he has cleared the 92 once again.
And you see here, Vargas is not clear as he's going into the inside of Chrissy Spletzer there, coming past Teskar, Lattimore, Vasquez. Yeah, he's not picking him up and laying him down as far as lap traffic goes, but he's also not having to worry as much, although he might want to start worrying, because it looks like that lead is really beginning to shrink. Yeah,
it's down to 4.5 seconds. It was 7 seconds about 2 laps ago, so Ortiz finally starting to put the pedal down and make some gains, but we are closing in on half race distance. We're only about 4 laps away from it, so for Vargas, he's got to take comfort with the fact that he has 3 lap cars between himself and the 91, even though the gap is coming down all the time. There it is, down to 3.8 seconds. So even if the lead is diminishing between himself and the 91, you got to remember, Ortiz has to deal with the same traffic.
Yeah, and there's no guarantee he'll be able to get through it as easily as Vargas, because you see, we've seen it before. The leader can have struggles getting through traffic, and then second place can have a breeze going through there. And like right now, Vargas is doing the opposite of that. He's doing, well, potentially the opposite, depending on how things go when Ortiz gets there.
I guess we'll find out, because Vargas is just picking him up and putting him down at the front, although his lead is now down to only 3.5 seconds now. But he has led this race consistently from the beginning. And he's on pace at the moment for a max points day, although he did have a bad run through turn 3 there, and that allowed Vasquez to unlap himself, potentially, from Christian Vargas. And Nick Ortiz just took him 0.8 out of his lead on that last lap alone. So Ortiz is coming. I think Vargas has got to be thinking about splitting this race down the middle.
Yeah, especially when he looks ahead and he sees Echo Evans-Ross, Chris Spletzer kind of going side by side just a little bit, as at least as it was when we were just looking. But yeah, that's definitely got to be a motivating factor here.
Well, this is the halfway lap right here, and if Vargas can lead this, he'll lock up the point for leading the most laps, which I'm sure he'd want to take away from Jeffery Finguy if at all possible, although Finguy hasn't really been in contention to lead yet this race, and keyword there being yet, because I have a feeling he'll be at the front contending after the pit cycle perhaps. But for right now anyway, Vargas just hanging on, keeping a solid lead. It's 2.5 seconds, which is still plenty. He crosses the line now, completes the halfway lap here, and the lead, we're looking... Oh, looks like Ortiz is the first one on pit road. He pit exactly on the halfway lap. So here we go, pit stops, beginning with Nick Ortiz, the second place car.
Yeah, it looks like he's a lone ranger on that one, but, you know, I think he knew he had to try something, because he may not be in contention for a championship anymore, but he really wants to go out with one final win for Louisville Motorsports. And you see Vargas in there, Lattimore lap down, but still coming in as well.
Yeah, Vargas couldn't have been too far behind at that point. He saw Ortiz come in. He knew he had to respond. But that does give the lead to Lane Sanders now, who gets a bonus point for leading the lap. Will Finguy try and stay on the racetrack, get a bonus point for himself for leading a lap, or does he play it safe and follow Lane Sanders and Devon Fair potentially into the pit lane? I think
looks like he's playing it safe.
Yeah, and that good for him, honestly. He should just focus on preserving the points he already has. But there's Nick Ortiz, and Christian Vargas should be exiting the pits any minute now. So that will be the main battle for the lead after this.
And the thing you got to watch out for is we take a look at some of the backmarker traffic here. People exiting and trying to blend back into the racing groove as people are pitting, which we've seen it happen before at some shorter tracks. Doesn't always go very well, so that's something to be watchful of.
No, but look, here is Vargas, here is Ortiz. That is the battle for the lead. It will be the battle for the lead once this pit cycle shakes itself out. So, and there's Devon Fair. He's actually gotten ahead of Jeffery Finguy on the pit stop, so mission accomplished for the 51 team. And by quite some margin, it has to be said. So now, Finguy's got to go on the offense. He's got to try and go chase down Devon Fair, get that lead, or to get that position back. As meanwhile, for the lead, Ortiz going to try and send one up the inside on Devon Fair, but he gets pinched off by the 54. Great defensive driving. Vargas keeps the spot.
Yeah, he had to check up for Vargas to see more of the field coming down here, which, no, as these drivers come off pit road, they're definitely going to be going a lap down now. Although, if these two keep getting scrappy, who knows what'll happen?
Yeah, who knows indeed, because they are in the midst of deep lap traffic. Ortiz trying to get around the 86 of Spletzer. Vargas being held up by Cale Tescar Jr. They're clear. Ortiz is clear. Vargas is clear. They're currently battling quite hard for the race lead, which is now only 0.2 of a second for Christian Vargas. Mighty impressive considering how big the lead was earlier on in this race. But we now have 31 laps to go in this race. Nick Ortiz doing everything he can to try and gain time on the leader of the race, which has been Christian Vargas for all but 2 laps of this race that Lane Sanders led on the pit cycle. And it looks like Vargas is going to try and make a run round the outside of Rasha Mahendra to put the Indonesian driver a lap down.
Although that's not going to do much good now, because Mahendra puts Tescar to the high side, and that blocks both leaders right now.
And Ortiz trying to force his way up through the middle. J.D. Martin had an issue on his pit stop. He falls 3 laps off the pace. His championship hopes may have just come to an end with that slow stop. But now, Vargas and Ortiz going across the line to complete lap 41. boy, this has been a great battle for the lead ever since that pit cycle.
Yeah, and if they can clear Mahindra, if they can both clear Mahindra and start making their way forward some more, that's really going to make things interesting.
But don't look now. Lane Sanders has actually caught these guys. He's now only a second and a half off the lead, so this could be a 3-car battle if these guys aren't careful. Vargas starting to extend his gap once again out in front. But don't give it to him just yet, because Ortiz and Sanders are within striking distance.
Yeah, exactly. And as we said at the previous, Sanders has a slim chance, and if he could do something like, I don't know, maybe steal a win, that could really make things real interesting in the championship
fight.
We've
got caution on the Speedway. First time we've had the pace car come out. It's on lap 43. There's why. J.D. Martin with smoke pluming out the back of the 66. We said he had a slow stop. Maybe when he rejoined the racetrack, something else calamitous happened to the 66. We're trying to see if anyone else was involved in this. And look, there it is, Dylan Young in the 29.
Aww.
He has had some issue on the racetrack as well, and this could very well end his hopes for a championship right here.
And like that, the hopes of the 1, 2, 3 for the Finguy Saitomi crew in the championship, I'm pretty sure, just died.
And J.D. Martin looks as though his championship hopes as well, now for certain, are over, because he brings the 66 down pit road. They're going to take a look under the hood, see what they can do to try and see if they can maybe send him back out to cycle more laps. But we are under caution for the first time. Looks like Rasha Mahendra will be the free pass car under this caution. He'll get his lap back while we're pacing around. But, oh my goodness, Dylan Young is getting back on track, so at least that's going for him. But what in the world took place here? So this was J.D. Martin. He was finally exiting his pit after that very slow stop. And there's Dylan Young directly ahead of him, so something must have happened to the 29, and I think it was either a tire. I think they saw one on the pit stop. Yeah, the tire goes right there. Mashburn gets into him, sends him sideways. Oh, and then Martin clips him from the back. That's just the worst possible outcome.
Yeah, there was no way JD could have avoided that. It was just poor luck for him.
I think one of the crew members might have knocked the valve stem off that tire. Is one of the few ways I can explain that a tire failure so soon after a pit stop. Either that or he ran over something. Either way, tough circumstances for Dylan Young and J.D. Martin. One more look at this, and Dylan Young, yeah, right in the middle of the corner. I think the tire goes. Mashburn can't go anywhere. He drives into the back of the 29, nowhere for him to go, and he just gets 1-2 comboed by the Robbers Racing duo, although that really didn't help either of them. But look how close, especially Jensen Noman on that 96. Look how close he came to T-boning the 29 there.
Yeah, fortunate timing there for Nomina, and not so fortunate for Martin.
Yeah, Martin is out of the race after that, so his hopes for a championship are dashed. Dylan Young, though, is still on the racetrack. He is the last car one lap down in 41st. There are 33 cars on the lead lap. Mahendra did get the free pass. And I believe we're going to get the one-to-go signal right here. Yes, we do. So we're going to have one more lap of pacing here. Then we're going to go back racing. My question becomes, with all these lap cars down on the inside, what can Nick Ortiz do? What can Jeffery Finguy do? These guys that need track position, what can they do to get it?
That is a very loaded question, because you got some, even though they're back markers, there's still some speed in some of these cars. Like, we know the 39 of Echo Evans Ross and the 86 of Chris Spletzer, they have speed. We've seen the one get some speed and have some good results through a mixture of good runs and some attrition of competitors. And Aaron Hall, we know he has speed. And of course, Dylan Young, even with that damage, could still have some speed. So they might have something to say about how this plays out.
Well, we are going to find out, aren't we? We're going to get the restart with 23 laps to go here at Walt Disney World Speedway. Christian Vargas has led all but 2 laps today. He will be the one leading them to the green flag, heading in towards this restart. Vargas on the outside, Hall on the inside, a lap down. We're back underway once again.
Vargas didn't waste any time now. It's a matter of how quickly Ortiz can clear Hall, although, unfortunately, I don't think he's going to clear him that easily.
He should be able to, though, by the end of this lap, I would assume. And yeah, there he goes. He's clear almost now. But Hall's going to try and ship one up the inside on Ortiz. He wants to maybe get another caution here, get the free pass that way. But Ortiz is doing everything he can to try and fight his way past the 07, and there he goes. He had a better run through turn 3. But now, look at Jeffery Finguy. He's lost 2 spots on this restart, down into P7.
And he's stuck behind Audrey Anzac, Ryan Vasquez, and of course Mark Davey, that is for position there.
He did already pass Mashburn back for 6th place, so he's got one of his spots back already.
And now he's just got to get back by Davey, then get by Anzac and Vasquez, and try to get up to Fair and Sanders.
But again, he has a tough turn 3. It's momentum. That's everything in that corner for the rest of this race, especially now that we have fresh tires for the remainder of the day. We're coming up on 20 laps to go. Christian Vargas just trying to grow that lead out once again. He did it on the first run. We'll see if he can do it again on the second stint.
Yeah, he's so far so good on that for him. Not so good for Ortiz, but there's still potential for him to have a chance.
And now, look at that. Mashburn gets back past Finguy to go up into 6th place. So Finguy back to 7th place. This is not what the 92 wanted. He's not in the position to clinch the championship anymore. Because not only is Devon Fair ahead of him now, but Patrick Smith's not that far behind him either. So, as they run right now, it would be a 3-man battle between Finguy, Smith, and Fair in the fight at Homestead.
And that is, like you said, not what he wanted. He wanted it to be nothing but his drivers. But when Young had his issue, well, that just opened up the door for everything to start going at least a little bit wrong for him.
But look at the lead Ortiz and Vargas have put on the rest of the field. It's already up to almost 3 seconds. These two have been the class of the
field right here
all day. Absolutely. But these guys are still looking to get that look for that last spot on the podium, maybe even challenge for the win if those two have a coming together, which it looks like they very well could, considering the lead has shrunk by that much. But now Zayden Davidson going to try and make a challenge to Jeffery Finguy around the outside. That is the last thing he wants, because you got to remember, that's another teammate to Devon Fair.
Not only that, but Zayden still, at least as of the wave of the green flag, still had an outside chance at this championship. So he may not be as motivated for the championship himself, but he does know that his teammate, just a few positions ahead of both he and Finguy, is somebody who could benefit from him getting by the 92.
Yeah, and we're not too far away from the end of this race. Fair has cleared the lap traffic. So has Lane Sanders and Mark Davey. Jeffery Finguy, though, is kind of in no man's land at the moment. He's got Davidson quite a ways behind him. But look at the side-by-side lap traffic. Audrey Anzac, Ryan Vasquez, they're both racing for position against each other, but I think what they need to realize is that's the guy who's going to behind them, who's going to try and claim the championship. It might be in their best interest to get out of the way, fight each other later, because this 92 is on a mission.
And it looks like Audrey finally was able to, at least for the moment, get back single file, and that could really help Finguy out here.
We'll see, because down the straightaway they go. Yeah, Audrey's clear of the 99, and I think Finguy's now cleared him as well. So, good stuff. They sorted their differences out. Now, Finguy, all he has to do is get past Audrey Anzac in the 1 car, and then he'll be right on the back of Mashburn, and then Mark Davey, and Devon Fair is not too far up the road. He could still make this happen.
He's determined, but like I said, some of these lap cars have shown they have speed. Maybe not as much speed as the ones around them right now, but they still are a hindering factor. You see Audrey, even though it's not for position, still trying to keep up with Mashburn there, as Zayden keeps trying to get by Finguy.
He actually did get past Finguy at the line, but then Finguy passed him right back. So these two are in a tight battle. It's probably not the battle Finguy wanted to have today, but it's the one that's currently on him. And although he has cleared Davidson now, we're closing in on the 10 to go mark. Christian Vargas and Nick Ortiz have run away. They're probably going to settle this race between them those two drivers. But for Jeffery Finguy, this one car is very much in his way, and he really needs to get past if he's going to have any hope of clinching the title here today.
And I think the last thing Audrey wants is to be a hindrance, and I mean she knows from experience in the truck series how hard it can be how frustrating it can be to get by lap traffic. That's the last thing she wants, is to be the source of frustration. And as soon as Finguy can get by her, well, look out everybody else, I think.
Yeah, the problem is I just don't think the handling's there for that 92 this time around. It was a dream at Rockingham, not so much today. But look at this, Devon Fair. But look at Lane Sanders from 2 car lengths back. He got passed by Devon Fair. Now he's sending a big one up the inside to try and get the place back, and he does.
I'll tell you this. Lane Sanders may not end up fighting for a championship at Homestead, but he is going to go down swinging, and he is definitely making a point of that here.
Absolutely. As they run right now, he would be out of the title fight, but he is still doing everything he can to get the best finish possible for him and his race team. This has been a career year for that team, and they're doing whatever they can to end this year on a high. But he's got Devon Fair right behind him, trying to get that final spot on the podium away. Meanwhile, I think the battle for the lead up ahead has started to fizzle out. Ortiz has fallen a 1.5 seconds back. This could be Christian Vargas's day here at Walt Disney World, but the main focus, can Jeffery Finguy get enough points to lock it up?
At this point, I don't think so, because he has fallen off the back bumper of the one of Anzac, and I believe, if I saw correctly when we were looking, could have very well been getting back into the clutches of Zayden Davidson, and could even, if he's not careful, fall even further back into the clutches of his own teammate back there.
That is the last thing I think Jeffery Finguy would want. But he is a second clear of the 4 now. But the problem is he's a second behind Miles Mashburn. I think what Finguy needs to do is for Audrey to go hassle Mashburn, Davey, and Devon Fair, Lane Sanders even. Try and get them out of shape and maybe bring him along to try and pass him. Because the only way he can win this championship now is if he finishes on that final step at a podium or better.
Absolutely, and like I said, if he's not careful, he'll fall in the clutches of Patrick Smith. But look now, the other Anzac sibling in the field could also make things hard for him as he continues to try to find his way back up there.
It's a good run for Duke Anzac. Probably too late to save his season, but it's definitely something he needs to try and stay in the top 30 in owners' points. A bit of a surprise that he's fallen that far back, but so it goes with the transition to this next-gen car. A lot's happened this year with him, so hopefully he'll have a better 2025. But we now have 7 laps to go, and the battle for third continues to rage on between Sanders and Fair. Jeffery Finguy, though, kind of in no man's land once again. He's left Zayden Davidson behind, but he can't gain any spots now either.
It's especially hard to gain spots when that one continues to be very, very persistently in the way. But you got to give him credit. He keeps trying. It's just I think as you mentioned it, as we start to get to that point where it's really crunch time for anybody to gain anything, I think the handling has really fallen off on that 92 in this run.
Well, look at this, though. Mark Davey trying to fight a way around the outside of Devon Fair. That is for 4th spot. If Davey can get by Fair, and looks like he will.
Yeah, I'll be happy.
Yeah, Devon just had a terrible turn 3 there. We got 5 laps to go. Christian Vargas has just run away with this race. He's got a 1.5 second lead over Ortiz. That's pretty much stayed the same. But look at Mashburn. He's now all over the back of Devon Fair, and Finguy's finally passed Anzac. That's great news for the 92. If he can get past Devon Fair, he might have a chance still.
Now, the thing is, at this point, as long as it took him to get by the 1, it's hard to say if he'll even be able to have a chance, because I doubt Mashburn is just gonna drift up and let him pass.
No, however, you got to consider Finguy is about a 1.5 seconds back. If he can put together some qualifying level laps to get up to the back bumper of this trio fighting for 4th place, if he can put those laps together and make a run at it at the very end, that will be a run for the history books. We're coming to 3 laps to go. We just hit 3 to go right there. Vargas at the line, 2 seconds over Ortiz, but this is the fight we're keeping our eye on. And look how much time he gained.
Yeah, that's definitely big. But like I said, I don't think Mashburn is just gonna move over for him. He may not be as in the fight as he was before, and but he's definitely not gonna just bow out and let him through. He wants to do everything he can to keep the position he's got, but it may not matter.
Here it comes Finguy down on the inside. Mashburn stays ahead. 2 laps are racing to go. I think what Finguy needs to do now is just follow Mashburn through, try and see if the 72 can pass Devon Fair. But we're focused now on the leader, Christian Vargas. He's led 67 laps today. Gonna try and go for 68 to try and lead his... We're coming to the white flag this time for Christian Vargas, and his lead is massive.
Massive, and I don't think it's gonna matter now. We were in we were in the no point of no return for caution 4 laps ago. So the yellow comes out now. He's got it regardless.
So making his way through turn 2, this has been a season kind of to forget for Christian Vargas. It's been a rough go of it as of late, but now, as he rounds the final corner for the final time, he gets to celebrate victory lane once again. This time it's win number 14 for Christian Vargas. He wins on 1-Up's debut at Walt Disney World. Ortiz second, but the fight for the points, look at this! Fair, Mashburn, Finguy coming across the line all together, look at that!
Yeah, and that fair getting passed by Mashburn, that might help Finguy, but I still feel like it. Well, we'll have to check and see, but I have a feeling this is going to Homestead.
We're checking the scorecards. We're trying to see, is Jeffery Finguy our champion, or are we going to have to wait? The answer, we're checking the scorecards, and yes, we will have a showdown, a title showdown at Homestead Miami Speedway. Finguy did not get the positions he needed, but he does now have a 45-point lead over Patrick Smith and 48 over Devon Fair. This is going to be a title showdown between those 3 as we head to Homestead for the finale.
And yeah, that's not what he wanted, but you know, you went into this thing, you didn't know if it was going to happen or if it was going to work or not, and well, it's going to be fun seeing this one going into Homestead. And meanwhile, congratulations to Christian Vargas. The one time being called a Mickey Mouse winner can be a good thing.
Absolutely, because we're in the House of Mouse here at the Walt Disney World Speedway. Great win for Christian Vargas. We kind of overshadowed it, didn't we, with the title fight, but that's still a very good win. And while Vargas is no longer in the title contention, he has been eliminated after this. But still a fantastic run for the 54. That's going to jump him into the top 5 in points, actually. So great stuff from Christian Vargas. We'll see how good that'll carry him for the rest of the season. But that is going to do it for us from the Walt Disney World Speedway, and all Jeffery Finguy has to do now at Homestead Miami Speedway is finish 34th or better. If he can do that at the Homestead Miami Speedway, he will be champion for the first time, regardless of what Patrick Smith or Devon Fair do. But from James Ellison and from myself as well, it has been a fantastic first race at the Walt Disney World Speedway. A bit of a bore for Christian Vargas at the front, but I don't think he cares too much about whether it was exciting or not. He gets his second win of the year, and we have a 3-man showdown heading to Homestead, the final race of the 2024 1-Up Superstar Series season.